everyone, Boba Time Hopper here, and welcome back to the Walking Dead Randomizer Rewrite series, here for episode 6. This is the moment you have all been waiting for a very long time, the finale of season 1. I know what may happen later in this video will probably upset a lot of you, but it is the way it is. The group has made a lot of really bad decisions and a couple of great decisions in this timeline, and most of them are going to come to a head here in this episode. You may wonder why the Vatos gang over here, why the Vatos gang members are on the chart as part of the group. That is because, if you can recall, last episode our group moved in with the Vatos gang, and with the events that'll happen in this episode, they'll have little choice but to join our group. I really hope things don't get too messy in this video, because I really don't want to anger you guys even more. The imminent death of Merle already made several people angry, including Antonia. But honestly, there will probably be worse shit to happen in this video, and you will get more angry. Anyways, we need to roll some things here because I think the writing segment would be too quickly interrupted if we didn't. We need to roll one main character and two minor characters to determine who will be going with Rick and Daryl to try and save Merle. I will go for the main characters first. Let's see who goes with Rick and Daryl. Shane! That makes things interesting. I don't know if I want to... No, you know what? I can work with this. Alright, we've got Shane. Now let's figure out the two minor characters. So, randomize a couple of times. Here we go. First of the two minor characters who are going to be going with Rick into the CDC. T-Dog. Okay. Nice. Alright, and who is... Should probably randomize again. Who is going to be the second person to go towards the CDC? Glenn. That makes sense, honestly. Glenn and T-Dog have kind of been, like, our main guys to go to everywhere. Which really is a lot like the main story. It's surprising that it's been so much like that. Anyways, we should get into the episode. The Walking Dead, Episode 6, Wildfire. The episode opens with Daryl sleeping on a cot just inside the front door as we hear Merle coughing loudly outside. We then hear a walker groan and Merle wheeze as he tries to call out for help. Daryl leaps out of bed at the sound of his brother's calls as Jorge and T-Dog open the door for Daryl, providing him cover as he quietly walks up behind the walker and kills it. Daryl then looks into the car at Merle. Merle's skin had grayed and he looked even more gaunt, with blood on his lips from when he had coughed. Daryl sees this and knows that he cannot wait anymore, as he goes inside to talk to Shane and the others. When we get inside, we see Shane, Guillermo, and Rick at a table together, discussing how they will improve the fortifications on the base so that they can defend themselves if anybody comes to threaten them. When Daryl reaches them, he says that he thinks Merle is almost out of time. They need to leave. Now. Rick gets up to go with Daryl, as T-Dog says that he will go as well, saying that it's the right thing to do. Besides, more meds are always good. Rick then says that they could use Glenn's help in navigation again, to which T-Dog and Daryl agree, so T-Dog goes to wake up Glenn. Daryl brings his cot from inside the door as well as a blanket to put Merle on as T-Dog and Glenn arrive. Once everything is set up, Daryl hops into the back of the truck with Merle and T-Dog as Glenn gets into the passenger seat. Just as they are about to leave, Shane walks out with his shotgun and a radio and says that he's coming with them. When Rick asks him why, he says that he still thinks it's stupid. But, because it's so stupid, he knows he has to go with them, joking that someone has to make sure his dumb ideas don't get him killed. As they drive away, we see the men on the roof again, with the leader speaking his first line, saying that now that some of them are gone and took so many of their weapons, they can execute the original plan again. We then see Jim standing guard near the front door. We see bags under his eyes as he seems almost delirious. Mr. Strathmore and Dale walk over with coffees in their hands and they pull up chairs for themselves and Jim. Jim doesn't acknowledge them until Mr. Strathmore says that Jim has been up for nearly 2 full days. Dale says to Jim that he is going to start seeing things. Jim responds that he already is. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees his wife, his kids, Andrea, Jackie. He says that he had a dream the night the group were attacked. He knew it was coming. He saw it all coming, down to the last detail. Dale says to Jim that the dream was just that, a dream. There's nothing he could have done to prevent the walker attack on camp, but Jim ignores him and says in response that he feels like he could have. If he told people about the dream, Shane asked him about the dream, and he didn't tell him anything. Mr. Strathmore groans as he sits his coffee down and looks to Jim. He says that the past is the past. You can study it, you can learn from it, but you can't change it. He says Jim should rest. They can cover the watch. Jim says again that he can't rest. He'll just see his family again. Dale responds that Jim sees them because they matter to him, and he blames himself for their death, that he misses them. That's not a bad thing. Dale continues, saying that remembering them can hurt. The guilt might eat at him, but it's better to remember them than not. Besides, it's a part of being human. Mr. Strathmore then says that he wouldn't give up the memories of his wife for anything, and Dale agrees, mentioning his own wife. Dale tells Jim to get some rest. They'll take over watch. Jim thanks Dale and Mr. Strathmore as Mr. Strathmore tells them that they should call him Edward, joking that only the kids call him Mr. Strathmore. We then hear a scream from another room as Dale and Jim charge over with Edward limping up from behind them. By the time they arrive, they see Leon in the room, having already hopped from bed and grabbed his gun before any of them could even arrive. Dale asks Amy what's wrong, but she just says it's nothing, as Edward reads the room and tells Jim that they should head to bed. Leon sits on the bed next to Amy as she starts to cry again, holding her knees up close to her chest. Dale asks her if there's anything he can get her, and Amy says that she could use a drink. Just as Leon is about to jump up to grab one for her, she grabs his arm and he stops. As Dale walks out to get the drink, he waits for a second, listening in as Leon asks her what's wrong, and Amy says it was a nightmare. Leon hesitates, worried that he might make things worse by asking before he convinces himself that he should, and he asks her what happened. Amy trembles as she says that she saw her sister sitting near a campfire, but when she went to talk to her, she just wasn't her anymore. Amy starts to cry again as Leon says that she doesn't need to say any more, and hugs her. Dale then returns with the water, having overheard the end of the conversation. He hands her the water and says that they're there for her if she needs them. She then thanks Dale as he steps outside. As Leon is about to leave to join him, Amy asks him if he can stay. Leon agrees, and he pulls up a chair as she lays back down in bed. Next, we see Shane's group pulling up to the CDC. Glenn comments on how bad the place looks, noting the hundreds of bodies as they start to step out of the truck. Shane, Rick, T-Dog, and Glenn walk up to the front, seeing the entire building shuttered down, and as they start to walk up closer to the door, Rick sees a camera move and waves at it just as some walkers start to notice them. The shutters open as Daryl and T-Dog carry Merle inside, and Rick and Shane start to cover them. As they funnel in, the doctor introduces himself as Dr. Jenner, and he asks if any of them are bitten, to which Shane reveals that Merle is. Before Jenner can even speak, Daryl asks Jenner if there's any kind of cure, and Jenner says that that is what he was trying to find out before the group arrived. He was about to start up an experiment, in fact. Shane is shocked to hear that there might be a cure, but Daryl is over the moon, cheering as even T-Dog and Glenn start to smile about it. Rick's saying that maybe the world can get back to normal one day then. Before they can go any deeper into the CDC, Jenner says that they will need to put Merle into a holding cell, and that they'll all need to take blood tests. The group agrees to the tests, and are all clean as the group is led inside. As Jenner leads Daryl and T-Dog to placing Merle in a testing room, Rick speaks to Jenner about maybe getting some medical supplies from him for the rest of their group. Jenner writes down TS-20 on a card before placing it on Merle's cell door, and saying that if the tests go well, he won't need the supplies, but he can have them if he wishes. Jenner leads them deeper inside as he shows them Vi in the command room. Rick asks where all the other doctors are, and Jenner says that they left a long time ago, but he doesn't need them, as he believes he may have finally found the answers. He asks the group if they want to watch him start the experiment, and they all excitedly say yes. As Jenner suits up, we see him walk through an airlock with a brain sample in a dish. He mixes a piece of it in a tube with a solution and puts it in a centrifuge to be tested. Jenner then turns to the others and gives them a thumbs up as he walks back towards the airlock. He says to them that it'll still be a few hours before he can know if the test worked or not, and he doesn't want to leave until that's done. He then says that while they wait, they should go to the mess hall to eat, as he points them to a map nearby on a table. The group all walks towards the cafeteria as Shane tries to radio Leon, letting him know that they are safe and that the CDC has a bunch of food and medicine. Leon doesn't respond, however, which worries Shane, but Glenn tells him not to worry. They're probably just too deep underground to get a signal through. We then cut back to the main group as they are starting to wake up for breakfast. We see Dale standing over a stove and setting up a pot and frying pan before we turn over to Carol at a nearby counter, opening up some canned salmon and grinding up the salmon before forming them into patties. We then see Edward limping over with a small box of fresh vegetables for the soup. Dale sees Edward and says that he shouldn't strain himself before Edward chuckles and says he's old, not incapable, and jabs at Dale with the end of his cane, saying that Dale is even older than he is. Edward then asks Carol how she slept now that Ed is out of the way. Carol is about to respond before we hear Ed banging on his door again. Jorge tells him to shut up, and Carol continues, saying that she slept fine. Edward then asks Dale if he's checked on Jim yet, to which Dale says he hadn't had the chance. Carol says that she can finish up the cooking, with Edward saying that he should go check on him. Dale relents and moves over so Edward can take over, and he starts to walk off. As he walks off, Carol says to let Amy and Leon know that breakfast is ready. As Dale walks, we see Lori watching over Carl and Sophia while Antonia and Felipe talk on the couch, and Miguel stands guard out front with Guillermo. When Dale finally reaches Jim's room, he looks in to see Jim sitting in a chair at a table in the room. Dale says good morning to Jim, and Jim just grunts in response. Dale asks him if he got any good sleep, to which Jim says not particularly, before asking if everyone else is up. Dale says yes, everyone but Amy and Leon, whom he is going to go check on. Jim says that he'll go grab a coffee, if they have any. Dale says that sounds good. He'll meet him there after he checks on Amy and Leon, as he walks out of Jim's room. Dale walks down the hall, and as he is about to meet up with the main hall again, he knocks into Amy leaving her room, and is spooked. Dale says good morning, as Amy apologizes for scaring him. Dale says that it's alright, before asking if she slept okay, to which she says that she slept a bit better with Leon on watch. She then smiles a bit before saying that Leon fell asleep in the chair. She moves out of the way and points as we see Leon passed out with his face on the bed near her pillow, his gun resting on the table. Dale smiles a bit wider and teasingly asks Amy if he fell asleep like that, or if she placed him there when she woke up. She groans at Dale before saying that it was after. She didn't want him to get a crick in his neck. Dale smiles and says to Amy that they should let him rest, which Amy agrees with as they both walk off to get breakfast. When they arrive, Dale and Amy join the group in setting up plates as the elderly residents start trickling in from their rooms. A few of the older women walk over to help Carol finish cooking as Abuela rattles off orders on how to properly spice the food, and Guillermo grabs some old tablecloths to finish setting up. When the plates are set and everyone is ready to start eating, Dale stands up, saying that he has something he wants to say. He says that they've had a lot of rough days lately. Too many. But seeing everyone today, cooking together, smiling, keeping an eye on the kids, it reminds him of how the world used to be, and how it ought to be again one day. He says that they can rebuild from everything they've lost. That they can make a place where people can feel safe again. And he raises his glass before saying, "To the future." Hey, guys. You can probably see where this will be going. I'm sorry for any and all pain this causes, but there will be a minimum of 2 deaths here. The governor has them by surprise and has a great amount of weapons, and better weapons on top of that. I hope to God the deaths won't be too bad, but I have a feeling they will be. Please forgive me for this. So, firstly, we need to roll... We need to roll a couple of things. Firstly, we need to roll 1 main character death. Then we need to roll a 1d4 for minor character deaths and roll those. And lastly, we need to flip a coin between which of the remaining main characters left alive in the main group will shoot the governor in the eye, forcing his men to retreat, to save him. So first, I think I will roll a d4 to figure out how many characters that are minor characters are going to die. 1 minor character dies. That is absolutely awesome and very useful. Okay, well, we can roll who that death will be now. Let's randomize it. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Who is going to be the 1 character to die in this shootout? Hey! That's a fantastic coincidence. I was way more fearful. I thought it would be a lot worse. But now we need to get to the main character death. Obviously, Daryl, Shane, and Rick are not here, so it's going to be Dale, Leon, or Carol, and this is gonna hurt a lot. Alright, so let's see how it goes. Who's it gonna be? We can't have them here. Here, you know what? I'm going to take them off of the wheel. I'm going to take them off of the wheel with a copy and paste so that I can paste them right back after everything is done. Let's roll this again. Who's gonna be the one to die? Oh! Dale! No! Oh, God. Any of these would have hurt, but this hurts bad. This hurts bad. That sucks. Dale. God damn it. Okay, now we've got a coin flip. Heads will be Leon, tails will be Carol. Who's going to get revenge on the governor for killing Dale and Jorge? Leon. That's fitting. Well, let's get back into the story. The group freezes in shock and horror as Dale's head is blown clean through by a shot and the group falls into chaos. Guillermo shouts orders at his men as Amy stares on in shock at Dale's headless body and Lori rushes the kids away. More gunshots come in from the nearby roof as many of the older folks are shot down or injured as Edward tries to get them all to safety. At the sounds of all these gunshots, Leon wakes up and he sees that Amy is gone. He runs out to the main hall as he sees the complete chaos going on all around him. Just as he is about to join in the fight, he sees Amy in the middle of the room, sitting still, looking towards what looks to be Dale? Leon runs over to her, pulling her under the table as another volley of shots come in. Leon looks around as he sees Dale's dead body. A feeling of cold sets in as he looks over to Amy, who is still completely despondent. He hears a ringing in his ears as Guillermo's orders become more muffled and shots continue to fire before he looks over the table. Seeing a man standing on the roof giving orders and rage fills his heart. He pulls out his pistol and in a split second fires on the man, blowing his eye out as the man falls back. The men on the rooftop stop firing for a split second as one of them checks on the man, and this gives Guillermo the opportunity to round up his men and the rest of the group as they evacuate towards the vans. Leon is about to run to follow the group, but he realizes that Amy's not moving. Leon tries to beg Amy to move, but she's barely even acknowledging that he's there. As the gunfire starts again, Jorge yells for them to come along, even running in to help Leon pull Amy out of the room. As they carry her out, a grenade is thrown into the room by the attacking men as they carry their leader away, and the floor is blown out from under Jorge. Leon tries to save him, but Jorge yells for him to leave as Guillermo runs up to them. Guillermo tells Leon to meet with the others at the vans. They are going to meet Shane and Rick at the CDC. Leon runs with Amy as fast as he can to get into the cars as Guillermo provides cover fire, shooting the walkers who are now pouring into the building. Alright everyone, we are at a pause in the video because while everyone is evacuating from the Vados gang headquarters, we need to see if anybody remembers Ed and frees him, or if something else happens. I have the idea for this segment to roll a 4-sided die. If we roll a 1, Guillermo will find Ed and free him, running with him back to the group. If we roll a 2, Ed will break out on his own and run off. If we roll a 3, the walkers will break down the door to his room and Ed will die. And if we roll a 4, Ed will decide to try and wait out the horde, placing a chair and table in front of his door. So, let's, roll this. Here we go. What's it gonna be? 2! Ed is going to break out on his own and run off. Alright, let's continue on with the story. As Guillermo shoots at the walkers, he sees Ed bust down his door at the end of the hall. Guillermo yells for Ed to come to him, but more walkers get between them as Ed runs in the opposite direction, breaking a window with the leg of a table and jumping out at the last second. Guillermo, after seeing Ed escape, runs out of the building and hops into a car, hoping Ed is with them as they drive off towards the CDC. We then look across the Vatos gang headquarters as fire spreads throughout the building and walkers fill the halls. The episode ends here. Hey guys, welcome to the end of this episode and Season 1 as a whole. I have a ton of things I want to say about this series, but the first thing I want to do is apologize for this taking so damn long. I have been working on this season finale on and off since I posted the last video almost 2 months ago. Life has been hectic, and I know y'all are extremely forgiving to me, but like, damn am I pissed at myself for how long this took. Anyways, now that that is out of the way, I must say, I really didn't have any idea how I would get all the moving parts and themes of this season to properly work, or how I would set up the threads for the next season, but I think I did pretty good in setup for next season and rounded off the arcs of this season rather well, but y'all will have to tell me what you think in the comments. I think the arc I like the most so far in this version is Dale's. As sad as it is that he dies, he is way more important here than he usually is in the first season, with nearly this entire last episode having been from his perspective. And on top of that, across the season, he's had pretty great moments with the grand majority of the cast. You know, he's had his heart-to-heart with Shane, he helped calm Amy and Carol and Jim at several different points. He had a good dynamic with Edward, and had a couple of funny moments with Carl. He had a good relationship with Leon, and he was even a contributing factor to Merle being let out of the cuffs and not being kicked out of the group, which is what saved Shane's life, lore-wise. Shane is alive in this version because of Dale's kindness, and many other people in the group are better off because of that very kindness. Dale's death, I think, will really just serve as a catalyst for several future arcs, and even so, I think his arc, at least in the bare bones, remained pretty close to his canon story. It just kind of began earlier. You know, throughout the season, he stood as kind of the group's moral compass and kind of a therapist for them, to be honest. You know, he helped them process their losses and still hold on to their humanity and try to move forward, as we see with his death speech. But we'll have to see whether the group continues to live by the ideals he tried to instill in them or not. I also would like to mention Jorge pretty briefly, because he wasn't an important character at all, but I really like how his story played out. You know, he was introduced when he and Felipe attacked Amy, and he died saving her, so, you know, feels like a pretty good loop for his character, even if he wasn't around for all that long. Beyond that, several other characters' arcs were, I think, pretty good, and I think will continue to develop to be better and better stories in the next season, and I'd love to hear about what you think of all of this, you know. Comment down below which two character arcs were your favorites and why. Another thing I wanted to talk about was character art. Firstly, I'm terrible at it. Secondly, most of my friends that could do it and would be great at it are very busy and or already are working on a couple of characters. I have been hoping that each character who lives past the season in which they died in canon would get some new art, especially main cast. So if any of you would be willing to send art of what you think Leon or Amy or Guillermo or any of the others would look like in this version of Season 2, I would really appreciate it. Or really just any other art you'd like to send in at all. If you want to send in art, I have set up an email for you to send fan art to, or you can send it through my Discord server. Any art you send, I will credit to you in the description of the video in which it is included in, as I have done with my friends in the past. And the last thing I would like to talk about. I know many of you will want to know about the things that will happen at the CDC, but I cannot tell you yet. I had originally planned on them being in this video, but with how long this script was running, at nearly 3,000 words in just the written segments, and how much time I had left to edit, I decided to just add it as the first episode of next season, which I think works as well enough anyway, because it leaves you with several cliffhangers on what will happen with the group, and generate his experiments, and all of that. Speaking of which, comment what you think will happen with those, and the other unexplained story beats and cliffhangers like Ed. Anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!